his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment. I'm your host, David Tyree. We're back. We're still here in the midst of the desert, getting great things done. And man, this one right here is special. This goes back to where it all started. And y'all know me, I'm Jersey to the T. And I got my guy, competed against this guy. I know his pedigree, and he's still doing great things in the marketplace. VP of Corporate Partnerships with the TAO Group. Joeharo, what's good?
What's up, DT? Jersey strong, man. Glad to be here.
Listen, man, I appreciate you just for making this time. You got a busy week yourself, a lot of work, obligations. Vegas is the epicenter of let's just say of America right now with the NFL draft. So tell me, man, like, you know, I got to get back to your mentality, your pedigree. We competed against each other. We'll get into some of that. But, you know, when it comes to how you've transitioned, what made you, where you grew up, give us some of that, you know, that background, like, you know, because what we're really talking about is the journey, the process, you know, some of the pain points that really delivered you to this place. This, you know, like I said, where you're at in your career, admirable, right? You know, so talk about that.
Yeah, man. You know, it's we were talking earlier. There's no perfect script in life, right? It's you get handed a playbook, and it's going to change from quite a bit over the years, and you got to be flexible, and you got to be willing to persevere and fight through those things. So you probably don't know this about me, but I was born in Chicago, right outside in the suburbs.
Nah, that's bars.
So I was about 9 years old. I moved to Jersey, to the bricks, right? And it was culture shock, you know. There was a lot of different races and cultures and religions and things
Everything.
I just wasn't used to. And it really, that has made me and been the building blocks of who I am today, because I was able to sit back and understand and learn different cultures and different races and how people grew up. And that's what Clifton or places like Montclair or Passaic or Patterson really posed for me at that time. But as a kid, I was angry, man. I was angry moving from Chicago. I was a Chicago through and through. My whole family was from there. My mom met a great man. He's my stepfather 30 plus years later, and has had a huge impact on my life. At that time, though, I didn't know him that well.
He was the enemy, bro.
He was the enemy. He was the enemy. Now, he did take me to a New Jersey Devils game, and we visited the first time.
Okay.
He sensed that I was a sports guy, and he took me to a game. We went to the old Brendan Byrne Arena there, in the Meadowlands.
Nice.
And I immediately started to cozy up to him, like, oh, this guy's touching some of my hot buttons. But I was pretty angry moving out, and I get out there, and I was pulled away from all my friends. But one of the things that really helped me overcome was sports. Nice. I started grabbing my basketball or my football, and I started meeting a couple buddies in the neighborhood, and I'd go down to the park and we'd battle, and some of them turned out a little scrappy, but that was who I was, and I found out there was other people like me out there, and I got some competition now, right? Because now I got guys that are bigger than me and from different backgrounds, and we were getting after it. Nice. And the one thing that really put it over the top was we weren't able to play tackle football in Illinois till 7th grade, which was when junior high started there. And I wasn't even 6th grade, which in New Jersey, I think that's when I started.
Yeah, me too.
Right, 6th grade.
Dope.
So 7th grade was tackle, but I always was a big football guy, man. I loved it. I was a Walter Payton guy. I grew up in that era. And we get out there, and I remember it was probably my second week of school, and the teacher puts down a flyer for the Clifton Junior Mustangs, full tackle. I came home. I said, "Mom, I found my place. I'm home, baby. I'm home, Mama."
It's on. I love it, man. I love it. So, like, talk about that moving forward, man. Like, obviously, we get into the high school era. I ain't gonna throw too many shots with the Montclair, Clifton, but we definitely obviously got the best. But like I said, y'all certainly had y'all moments to shine. So, tell me, like, how mentality-wise, what was inside of you mentally that gave you some of that edge, pedigree? Like, what was inside your mind that allowed you to cultivate this mindset from a competition standpoint, from a focus standpoint, the disciplines that you need to excel at anything?
Yeah, I had such a passion and love of sports. I'm a sports junkie through and through. I'm a student of the game. I'm a student of many sports. I like to hear the history of it, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, a lot of your core sports. But I've gotten into other things as well, and that was something that always interested me. And I always wanted to see what guys like Walter Payton were doing, or Ronnie Lott, or some of these heroes that I grew up watching, and Lawrence Taylor, right? like, what did they do? And they didn't all do the right things, right? As you get older, you see like they had their path too. And
of course,
some things were good, some things were bad. But I watched what they did, and that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that guy, and I wanted to be the best. And if I was going to be the best at what I did, I had to put in the time, I had to sacrifice, and I had to have, an edge. I had to have a chip on my shoulder, and putting in the extra effort, putting in the time. When my friends were out screwing around as we got into high school or going on vacations with their family, I stayed back. I stayed home, and I was, under the bridge, whatever it was, like throwing the ball back and forth, or running at sprints, doing shuttles, whatever it took, so that when we got into that new season, and this started at a young age. This wasn't something that I started in 9th grade because now I'm in high school and I'm starting to excel. This started when I was probably 5, 6 years old. I was the kid in the backyard throwing the football to myself as a quarterback and catching it and winning the Super Bowl. Like, that's who I was, and that's what I love to do. And I knew that if I wanted to be great, I had to be different. I had to have a different mindset.
Being different. I love what you talked about, where it's like, when you saw those images of successful sports figures, you knew that you needed to imitate, right? So like we're in the age where everybody, and I think both can exist. I mean, like everybody wants to be so individual, they wants to shape their own path. But I've found that whether you call it mentorship, discipleship, it takes some form of imitation. You need something to actually grab hold of to give you some vision, right? So tell me how that works for you. Like, obviously, you guys had, Clifton High School, competitive. I want to position you. We're like, now you're getting to the space where you're good. You got the mentality, you got the juice. Y'all came knocking on our door our senior year and snatched my championship hopes. What was the moment where you knew this was next level? So like, and how did that impact you? And I would even throw this last piece in here. What were some of the obstacles that you really had what were the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome along that way to arrive at UNLV?
Yeah, so great question. I've never been a big guy. I'm 5'9", 180 pounds. When I was a kid, I was very, very thin. I was skinny. I had to eat everything. I mean, like a lot of young boys, right? But I never was going to be this huge kid, but I was always very fast. And I like I said, I was a student of the game. So I knew where to be. I kind of could put myself in places and think ahead to, knowing where to be before somebody else was there, and
nice.
Just getting ahead of the script on that. But 9th grade, I would say, I think junior high, it's a different league. It's whatever, right?
Having a blast, man.
I was doing my thing. We were having fun. But 9th grade, we get into freshman ball, and now guys are getting bigger. They're getting facial hair, right? And I didn't quite have that. I was 135 pounds. I was 5'6" maybe.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that my skill was so much better than a lot of the other guys that I was competing against or playing with. And that year, I probably had 30 touchdowns or something. I'm running back kicks every time. I was doing everything on the field. At that moment, I knew I got a chance to do something big in this and make it a much larger platform and see where it goes. And at that moment, it was like, I think I want to do this for a longer time than just high school. And I have an opportunity to maybe go play in college, but I got to put in the work now.
That's freaking dope, man. So size, like I said, and it was definitely I tell people all the time, like, let's just be realistic. You have to have some measurables in some particular areas. So I think what you're talking about, the biggest thing that you had going for you as a young man was self-awareness. You knew that because of some of your perceived liabilities, you had to ramp it up in these other categories, right? And that's where we take it in the marketplace. That's the same measure of awareness that you have to have. So fast forward get into UNLV. Of course, we all have that. You get a Division I scholarship. You have expectations, goals, and we're not talking about any losses here. My career at Syracuse didn't turn out the way I wanted it. I felt like it was mostly a bust. Who goes to Syracuse and wants to become a special teams guy, right? I always want to put certain things in perspective. But tell me how that journey went there, and just like I said, how you were able to pivot and transition and make the most of that experience.
Yeah, man. So going back, you asked a question earlier about adversity, and my sophomore year in high school, there was some adversity, and you're starting to get to that stage. Girls become a little bit more important.
Ooh,
baby.
I mean,
good-looking guys.
Come on, handsome Joe.
Some of these, juniors and seniors were coming around, picking me up, taking me places.
Of course.
And I was going to some of the parties, and I remember very vividly. It was that summer going into sophomore year. Guys were starting to, smoke weed.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
They were drinking, and they were doing these things, and I did too, right? I got into it, and I remember a couple times I got dropped off at home, and by somebody's parents, and I was not in a good place, and I could have went down that, that fork in the road. I could have went left. I could have went down the middle. I could have went right. And something took hold of me and said, Joe, you got something bigger to do in life. Don't go that way with some of these guys. You can still have fun and do what you want to do, but you got a mission right now. And it was a higher power. Maybe it was God. Maybe it was, my parents in the back of my head. Maybe it was just this inner self-awareness that I had that said, don't be that guy. And that was the moment, Dave, that I really, really recognized I don't want to be that dude. And that's when my career really started to take off, at least in high school. I played varsity the next year. We start to go down that road. Now I start to have a bunch of success. I took off very quickly as a sophomore. I'm outdoing the seniors now. They all respected me. They're like, this is the guy. So going into my junior year, I started to get a couple offers.
Nice.
A lot of one AA offers. It was the Yankee conference at that time, Delaware,
was that
UConn's, UMass.
I got you. Nice.
And those, great schools.
Heck yeah.
I was angry once again though, because I'm a small guy and they were looking at my measurables, to your point. But I also ran a 4.4. I could roll pretty good, man.
You was blazing, bro.
And that was my gift, right? I mean, I never had to work that hard at my speed. I did as you get older and you figure out ways to get a little bit of an edge on the field or whatnot. But I was angry about that because these recruiters would come into my school and they're like, well, he's got great tape and he's done all these things, but not really. He doesn't fit the look or the feel that we're going for. Ooh. Plus, don't forget, I was a white tailback, right?
Yeah, you were.
And
you were.
Not too many white tailbacks out there, right? So I got that going against me too. So I go through this thing.
We'll talk about it. We don't talk about that, right? The other side of the tracks.
100%.
I respect that. We got to acknowledge the fact that it can work both ways, right? And we'll give you your roses on that, bro. You overcame a lot.
Yeah, so, I get in and I'm getting these different offers, and I probably had, 25, 30 offers from those 1AAs. And while I was interested, I definitely looked at them. I looked at the Villanovas and the William and Mary's, great schools. In my heart, I knew I was a Division I player.
Nice.
And funny enough, another piece you don't know about me, my dream school was Syracuse. So man. I wanted to go to Syracuse more than anything. That would have been crazy. I did junior day up there. I did senior. They offered me a gray shirt, which if those listeners that don't know what a gray shirt is, it's like a 5.5-year program or a 6-year program. So you come in and they basically don't pay for your school. The next year you could potentially redshirt again, right? So you might sit on the sidelines for 2 years. And I said, look, I come from a very middle-class family. As much as I want to go here, I have too many schools that offered me a full ride. I got to go where the money is. Yeah, so that kind of fell out, man. And funny enough, UNLV, my coach, big shout out to Jim Kelly. I still talk to him quite often. He coaches at a small school up in North Jersey. And he came out to Vegas. He had no kids at that time, and they loved coming here. He's a big gambler, and him and his wife were in their 30s. And he walked from the MGM Grand down to the UNLV facility and dropped a tape. I said, I got a guy for you guys. Did not tell me. And I start getting calls from Vegas. And I, honest to God's truth, that the recruiting guy who called me, one of them was Chris White, a mutual coach that we both had.
Get out of here.
Coach White called me. And,
how legendary is that?
Amazing. So they called me and I said, guys, no disrespect, but I didn't even know you had a football program. I said, I know Grandmama, I know Stacey
no
Augman,
doubt, Larry
and I know what you guys have in basketball. And he starts laughing. And long story short, I decided to make the journey and come 3,000 miles out west.
Man, what a life-changing moment. Chris White, big shout. He is the author of BLN, Big Leather Nuts, and probably was I think I had him as a special teams coach majority of my years there, man. Big shout to him. So this is dope, right? So obviously, the career pans out, and I couldn't follow it. I couldn't follow for all kinds of reasons. So how was your experience, real quick, and get to that? And like I said, tell me about just some of that reality, the disappointments, white tailback, less visible program. How did that work out through your 4 or 5 years here?
Yeah, going to a mid-major, right, going out west, everybody was way different than us, Dave, right? They talked different, they dressed different, their socks were a little higher, they said hella. I said, this is not how I grew up, man. These are things you just don't understand or experience where we grew up, right? Yeah. And we go to camp, right? I came out here when it was nice, like this time of year, right? Okay. It was 80 degrees, beautiful weather, the pools. We go to a little town, Mesquite, about an hour north from here. Okay. For camp. It's 110 degrees outside.
Oh, Lord.
So now you're you're playing with grown men. You're 18 years old, guys that are big, physical. They've been lifting at a different level than you've ever lifted. And I'm getting my teeth kicked in pretty good. And I remember calling my mom, my stepfather, and I said, I'm out of here. I said, this is not for me. I was literally a week into camp. I said, this is not for me out here. I don't like the vibe. It's just, I want to go back east. And I had all these other schools that I looked at.
Yeah.
And my dad, John, gets on the phone. My mom says, you got to talk to him. You got to walk him off the ledge. He just got there. He can't leave yet.
Walking the plank.
And John got on the phone, and he said, listen, son, he goes, give it a year, man. Give it a year. And if you don't like it after a year, that's okay, man. Change can happen. There's various reasons why things can change, but you're a fighter, and give it a shot, man.
Yeah.
And one of the best piece of advice that I ever had in my life was from my stepfather, John. In that moment, it was a life-changing moment, right? I could have packed up and left right then and there, and I opted not to. And it was the best decision, because I would not be in the place that I'm in my life right now with what UNLV, college football, the city of Las Vegas, this great community has done for me. There was no shot I'd be where I'm at today.
I freaking love it. Because, like we talk about the things that really make people successful, and everybody has to have a skill, right? When you go into the marketplace, you got to get good at something. It's just like being on a team. Special teams is what gave me an opportunity to get into the National Football League. I always felt like I was a good enough receiver, but you have to be good at something to the point where they keep you on the team. But it's ultimately being things like that, teachable. Can you listen and recognize that there's something to be gained even in the middle of adversity? So, you thug it out. I'm sure you probably got red shirt and all that good stuff. I grew up over there. Yeah. What's your assessment of your 4 or 5 years there? We know the fruit of it. Yeah. What was your assessment of it, and how did you transition out of your athletic phase of your life?
Well, it was a challenge, man. I get there, right? And I'm this, kid from Jersey. Nobody's from that area. So, and we'll go back to this more, but I was a white tailback. There was no other white tailbacks, right? There was actually a fullback who became one of my best friends.
Oh, yeah, fullbacks be white.
He was a big white guy. Ironically, we ended up with a black quarterback and a white backfield my senior year, which is unheard of in college football.
That's legendary.
It worked out pretty well. So, I do redshirt the first year. I played in a couple games. They gave me a little bit, special teams. The first 2 games at that time you could play without,
losing your shirt, yeah.
Then I was definitely not physically ready. So we get back to the drawing board. So now, that year we went 0-11. We went 0-11, Dave.
My heart sunk.
And Jeff Horton, big shout out. He's the guy who got me out here. He's at San Diego State. He's been coaching for many, many years. He took a chance on this kid from Jersey, and I wouldn't be here without him. He left, obviously, for, not performing.
Yeah.
So now we got a whole new staff coming in. And the legendary John Robinson from USC on his swan song won a national championship, coached guys like Marcus Allen in the late 70s, Charles White, Ricky Bell, Heisman Trophy winners. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play this little white tailback that he didn't recruit for the legendary John Robinson, which what we thought was his kind of swan song. He was in his 60s. Yeah. They're going to bring this big, this big figure here. Mm-hmm. And it couldn't have been further from the truth. Coach Robinson gave us all an opportunity to play. Now, that piece, too, we almost thought about transferring, right? Everybody said we're not his guys now. So, again, these obstacles continue to come up. We stuck it out. Well, after my first year, I'm the 4th string guy. I'm kind of, stuck on the depth chart. I did whatever I had to do. Yeah. I was on the punt team. I was on the punt return team. I was on the kickoff. I did anything and everything just to get on the field. So we have a decent season. We win 4 games, in our standards after going 0-11. That's success.
That's improvement.
And then that spring, Coach Robinson rolls up to me in his cart and he says, Joe, they brought in some guys from some Pac-12 schools, some big time running backs. And he says, we got guys that are going to play right away and I want to get you on the field. Would you be okay moving to defensive back? And I was like, got to do what I got to do, right?
I love it. So
I moved to corner. So I go to corner. I'm a sophomore around, redshirt sophomore. And let me just tell you this, Dave. I was a lot better running forward than I was backwards. And, it was definitely not the easiest,
Real
man.
talk.
I didn't have the hips for DB, man.
Yeah.
I'm playing with some guys that played in the league. And, they tried their best to get me. I was fast open field, but I was not a DB, man. I wasn't covering anyone.
Got it.
Part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on every special team, and I'm giving everything I got. I'm not playing on defensive back. We go to Iowa State our first game. We have a transfer quarterback that came in from USC. We got a lot of high hopes. Mm-hmm. I broke my leg in the first game.
There it is.
So another
blow after blow.
That's it, man.
Yeah, this is life right here.
And I said, what am I going to do? What else are you going to do? You dust yourself off. I remember I got back on the plane. I knew something was wrong. They didn't know it was like, it wasn't a huge break, but I broke my fibula. I get on the plane and I miss the rest of the year. We have our best year to date in many, many years. We go 8-5. We win the Vegas Bowl. We beat Arkansas. We beat an SEC team.
Winners.
And I had nothing to do with it, really. I just sat on the sidelines, but I was at every single practice. I was in every single meeting. I rehabbed, and I came back hungry. And I was hungry to come back, and then things started to happen. I think just having that belief in yourself, staying the course, staying on the script. Coach Robinson comes back up to me. He says, those guys are gone now. I want you to move back to running back. Now I got my chance. Now I'm back in the driver's seat.
Fire.
And it's game time, man. And, not to bore you with too many of the details, the last 2 years, we go to Arkansas my junior year. We're on ESPN. All my boys in Jersey
on the
are
big
watching
stage.
Me. I'm starting running back, man. I've had this journey. I'm, doing one-legged presses with a broken leg and doing whatever it is that just to get healthy and just get on the field. And I have a breakout game. I have 130-plus yards. I scored a touchdown.
Bananas.
We lose a heartbreaker. Now we've got big scheduled games. We're playing Arizona. We're playing Northwestern. We're playing some big teams out of conference. We don't have the best season, but we're a tough team to compete with, man. We're in every game. We go 5-7. I mean, nobody wants to face us because they know they're going to get a team that's just is hard nosed and is going to fight till the end. And man, the journey carries on. I rushed for over 2,000 yards in my career. I become a captain my senior year, it was an awesome experience. I got amazing friends from it. And, I think it's just staying that course, man, and having that edge and having that chip on your shoulder. And that's who I've been since I was 5 years old. Yeah. I wanted to be a winner, man, and I knew you had to just do it at a different level and have a different mindset.
Bro, this is like pearls, right? Because we're talking about how life hits, right? And there's so many things. And I'm always trying to, balance this thing. Like, you can do anything you want, but then life dictates certain things as well, right? The things that you can't control. And our willingness to be able to not just weather them, but be able to, these storms, weather these obstacles, but be able to, kind of really move with it, being pliable, being selfless. So, talk to me now about how that mentality prepared you for the marketplace, right? You're a VP of corporate partnerships at TAO Group. Now, I'm one of the few athletes, who's like I've been hearing about TAO in New York City since I've been a player 20 years ago. Tell me your arrival to this place, what that really entails, right? It's simple, but give a little bit of layers of meat and why you enjoy it.
Yeah, so coming out of college, I still wanted to play, right? I had some success. I got an agent. I had some tryouts, and I said I'd give it 1 year. So I worked out with the Jets, and I worked out with the Cowboys. I worked out with some CFL teams. I worked out with Arena League teams. It didn't work out, and I sat with Coach Robinson that our exit meeting, and this legendary guy who's coached plethora of NFL Hall of Famers and Heisman Trophy winners. And he sat there and I said, Coach, you coached in the NFL. He coached for the Rams, 6-7 years in the 80s. And I said, what do you think, man? Now you know me, you know what kind of guy I am. And he goes, Joe, I'm going to be real honest with you. You're too good looking. You got too good a head on your shoulders. He goes, you're going to make a lot more money doing something else in life than playing football. I'm not saying you can't bounce around.
Bars right here.
And I was and Dave, I was mad. I was mad walking. I was 22 years old. I was angry. I felt like I was cheated. I felt like he was telling me something. I respected his answer, but I didn't accept it.
I like it.
And I said, I'm going to give it 1 year. So I did. And then I get out of college, and then I get past that point. I did really well in school. I wouldn't say I was this bookworm. I was a guy that did well in school because I wanted to play well in sports and have that opportunity, and I didn't want school to hold me up. So I did what I had to do to get by. I ended up with a 3.5.
Nice.
Broadcast journalism major. I said, I'm going to be the next Chris Berman, Stuart Scott, whatever it is. Right?
I love it.
Well, that could have been further from the truth because you get out, and as you know, playing college sports, you don't get a chance to work. You don't get stuff on your resume. And I had all these contacts, and I made a lot of good relationships here in Vegas and at UNLV. And I said, all right, I'm done. I had good grades. I was a great player on the field. I was always a great guy. Nobody had a job for me. And I was kind of depressed, man. It was this moment where, man, I did all the right things. I was a good kid. I never got in trouble. And now nobody wants to bring me into their organization to be the guy that I know I am, that I can provide.
This is real. So you actually, you said, thank God we're normalizing mental health. I had like in the middle of my transition, I had a massive meltdown. You can call it full blown crazy. So I'm big on this space and just being comfortable with the reality that, you know what, when life hits in different moments and different times, you know, and I think what we have to have is a support system, a game plan. So what was your game plan digging yourself out of that place right there? Because you're a grinder. You did like, it's, you know, we have sometimes 1 + 2 should equal 3 mentality, and it didn't work out for you. What were the things that really navigated you through?
I had a great support system. I had
awesome.
my parents. My mom is my rock, and you know, I talk to her daily. She lived in New Jersey. There hasn't a day that gone by that I haven't talked to my mom on the phone.
So dope.
Or now see her, right? You know, quite often living 2 miles away from me, but she was the person. You know, her baby. I was her first child, and she was the one that was always saying, "You got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. Like, this is just a moment. It's just a portion of your life, and it's not going to last forever, right? It's almost like the injury, right? When you get hurt, how do you come back stronger from that? Well, you got to rehab, right? And you got to put in the extra effort and do these things. And that's how she kind of explained it to me. And I was really in the dumps, and I just said, how does this happen to me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. So, all right, what are we going to do? We're going to just stand up, dust ourselves off, and we're going to get back after it, right? So I started just going out and talking to everybody I can talk to and just getting as many new contacts and what can I do. And I dated this girl in college, and her dad actually was my first business mentor. And he said, why don't you move to California and come work for me and learn my business? And I took a shot. So I moved a little further west and went out to California for a couple of years. And that was the first moment where somebody took a chance on me that knew my background, and said, I'm going to give this young kid a chance in business and teach him like what it is to be a business person. And Mike O'Shea, man, if you're listening to this one, you know, soon.
Mike O'Shea, subscribe and get this, brother.
I appreciate you, Mike. I tell everybody about you. You taught me how to be a businessman. You also taught me how to be a family man and just be a good dude, and you're going to get the things in return and put in the work, and you'll get the accolades and the things that you accept. So I went and worked for him, a little company called Huntington Hardware, family-owned business, and I sat at the table, man. I sat at the table with all these business leaders because he brought his family into the business. It was his father's business, and it was money can't buy experience, right?
Legacy. I love this.
So, you know, one thing leads to another. I was missing Vegas. I was coming back. You know, we had a young relationship, and very turbulent college relationship. She played sports, I played sports, and I was coming back here every other weekend, meeting up with my friends. And I said, I need to be back here. My mom at that point said, why don't you move back to Jersey? And something told me, Vegas, there's something bigger for me here.
I like it.
So I came back, and a guy that I played ball with and his partner started a little media agency. I got into that, and one thing kind of just took after another. I got into the beverage industry. A headhunter found me through one of my clients. I think it's just treating people the right way, and you get that in return, what you give. And I went to the energy drink giant Red Bull, and I went and did that for about 7 years. And that's where I really, really started to learn business, and I got a whole nother education. And Red Bull was so good to me, and I learned so much about just traveling for business and having real negotiations and the education they gave me. And it just kept going, man. And I just kept my head down, but I always had that edge, man. I always had that chip. I always, you know, especially in my younger years, I was always the first guy in and the last guy out. And, you know, that changes a little bit as you have children and you have a family, but absolutely your priorities change a little bit. And work has always been important to me because it's a piece of who I am. But that's kind of that was the next phase of my life, man. And I became this young business guy in my, late 20s.
All right. So this is absolutely dynamic. This is special. So obviously, you're doing some amazing things out here in the marketplace. I'm gonna bring it back, right? So, we're gonna settle this. We're gonna settle the score here because we did compete against each other in high school. I'm gonna bring it back before I really want to get these last few nuggets on how you've evolved as a leader in the marketplace. But Montclair High School is the gold standard of public school football in New Jersey, and I think most people would admit to that. But
I agree with that.
But Clifton, y'all came for us senior year, and you didn't just come for us on the gridiron, which was a very, very controversial win because I think half of Anthony Nesbitt's body was over the goal line, but y'all got the call nonetheless, and y'all earned that win. So
on your home field too.
On the home field,
man, we must have paid those reps.
We started that season ranked 11th in USA Today. Literally, like we lost the first game to St. Joe, so that was gone.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best teams that never did anything. So kudos there, but I'm not even going to get into that. You know, you got your roses there. Senior year, I'm probably one of the best 400-meter runners in the state. And I think this was like the conference championship, right? Yeah. Man, go ahead. I'm gonna let you take over. You know, like I'm that dude though. Like, but I am hungover from prom, and I think you kind of gave me some idea. Yeah. You might have did something yourself, man. Like, do you remember your time from that 400-meter race? Like, you wasn't even supposed to be in the race. I'm like, why is this dude here?
You know, high 48,
high 48,
somewhere around there.
So y'all, I'm confessing that White Lightning, Joeharo, got the juice. He had the juice. He beat me. I think he definitely. Like, I definitely had better times than your 400 in that race, but I was a little hungover. I definitely threw up that day.
Yeah.
But he came and got it. I mean, I think I ran like 49, like something like that. It was not my best race, but you earned it, bro. So he got some one-ups on me. I gotta give you that space right here on my own. Man. You know, I'm in your turf in Vegas, but you're on my turf here on this podcast, and I gotta give you roses, man.
We had some battles, man, and you know, you didn't talk about that junior year because you guys came to our stadium.
We did,
and we had a really good team that year. And you had my dad told me to remind you of this that winning touchdown catch you had in that game, and we were supposed to do big things that year, but you know, we got some sweet revenge and. It was a monsoon out there. You know, my job was to cover David Tyree everywhere he went.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I did to the best of my ability. And I did punch one in too, you know. But,
you punched one in, yeah. Listen, it was not, I don't even know if we passed the ball. We weren't like a pass-heavy offense. So
no,
like,
we didn't pass too much.
Yeah, like that game was
I looked up in the stands and there weren't many. My parents were up there with the umbrellas upside down, and crazy. You know the track, man. It was I loved running track. I only ran for 2 years, and you know that's where we really got to sit down and have some real conversations because we knew each other from football. And I did get dropped off at the stadium in a limo, hungover as well, from Long Beach Island, New Jersey, at the shore. I did not want to leave, but I said I got a duty. I got to go do this. Yeah. And you know I came out on top that day. But man, it was some great battles. And,
it was dope,
fun to talk about.
Dope, man. So let's spin it forward, man. Tell me about, you know, what's the most satisfying part? You know, like corporate partnerships, a lot of different layers, and you're working for the TAO Group, one of the most dynamic hospitality entities that, you know, like I said, I've never been to TAO, so I'm looking forward to.
I can't wait to host you,
bro. Let's make it happen. And people ask me like, you know, do you drink? Yeah, I drink. I drink water. I drink.
And we sell water.
Yeah, you know,
we sell water. Bam, we sell sparkling water. We got coconut water.
We gonna be lit, bro. We gonna be lit. So yeah, no, but I appreciate, you know, like I want to create this platform to talk about what you do, why you love it, and you know how you've evolved in this space, and you know how it brings meaning at this point in your life.
Yeah, so I was talking to you earlier about the beverage industry. So I did that for about 6 or 7 years, and that's where I really cut my teeth in this industry. I learned about nightclubs and hospitality and really working with some of these major giants from the Winds of the world and MGMs and the TAO Group at the time. And I was one of their vendors and, you know, really got a behind-the-look scene and what goes on in that. And it's not what you see when you walk into a nightclub or one of these big day clubs that we have here, or even the restaurants for that matter. There's a whole machine that makes this work, and I was very interested in it. And I went out with my boss to Miami when I was probably towards the end of my Red Bull career, or was the end of my career. And he said, "What do you think about coming on the other side?" And I said, I never thought about that. Like, I like servicing you guys, but I don't want to be in the nightclubs like every night. He's like, "No, that's not what it is." And you know, we sat down and we came back here and we had a couple meetings, and I decided to make that jump. And corporate partnerships has been something that I've just really put my arms around. It's something that has really had a profound impact on my life. And it's about people. It's all about people, man. It's about having that relationship. And if you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. And that's all. It's as simple as that, man. Like, yes, we bring in dollars. We bring in other ways of support and ways that these brands, like I focus on the beverage stuff. So the Evians of the world, the Red Bulls of the world, the Bacardis of the world, and they do a ton, but they really do a ton. Yes, because we have a great platform and we have a great company and they want to be a part of that, but they do it with people they like, and people buy things from people they like. And that's all it is, man. This
is so dope right here. People, if y'all listening, be likable, right? Like, don't be you know, one of my terms is elevating integrity, right? And it's because that's what sours everyone's experience when you're just, And we're not talking about being perfect, like batting 100% when I mean being not moral perfect. We're talking about, be consistent in your approach and what your deliverables deliverables, yeah, we're gonna do that, can be, right? So that's really dynamic. What like I said, what's some of the more meaningful parts when you're talking about relationships and how you're stewarding this? And obviously, a gatekeeper to some amazing, well-known partnerships. What's the biggest give back at this stage in your career?
I think it's just spending time with people, right? And really getting to know them outside of just, hey, you work for a beverage company or you work for a nightlife hospitality company. It's really getting to know them and really being authentic, being genuine, right? And getting to know about their family. And it's the little things. It's when their birthday is. It's when their, wife's birthday is. It's what they like. What do they like to eat when you go out to dinner? Like, those little things make a difference. And I don't do it because I'm not a phony. I do it because I care, man. I do it. Yes, it's my job. And yes, it's my job to schmooze a little bit.
Of course.
But 99% of the people I work with, they're fun people. They're in a fun industry. And that's what makes me who I am, because I am authentic. And I really want to get to know those people for who they are and not just what they do.
This is fantastic, because this is, and I get it. Like, we live in a transactional society. We have to, we have to get to some deliverables. We have to get to some goals. We got to hit our objectives and all that other stuff. But when we move toward that transformational side of living in leadership, where we can just move beyond the transaction, be okay with what the results are, that's when the engine, right? It's kind of like putting that WD-40 in the engine and it's greased up and it's already, you don't see loss when you're able to give all the time. So just kind of continue to give shape. What would be your biggest word of advice to any young, like I said, we're going to have a diverse amount of audience, young athlete, but like when they're considering how they're transitioning into the marketplace, what's your biggest word of advice?
I got 3 words, Dave.
Oh, give it to me.
I just used one. Be authentic. Be yourself.
Nice.
Don't try to be someone else, because people are going to find you out, right? And
love it.
I think we've all been in different phases of our life where we're trying to fit in somewhere, do something. I've learned as you get into your 40s and you've had some successes in your life, being yourself is what got you to where you're at. Mm-hmm. That's one. Be consistent. You just talked about consistency. That's one of my pillars that I live on. Be consistent. I wake up at a very similar time. I do all the same things. I work out every day. Nice. I'm a family man first. I take care of my business. Consistency. And the last one is, ain't no shortcuts. There is no shortcuts in life. And everybody that thinks you can make $1 million or you can go do this. And I thought that at one time, especially being out here in Vegas with all this money. There is no shortcuts in life. Put in the work, put the grind in, and do that thing every single day. You will go to where you want to go, but there's no shortcuts.
Be authentic, be consistent, and ain't no shortcuts. Listen, I got to echo off that, because I'm sitting here. Everybody knows this catch, this moment, right? The helmet catch. And, I got to get this before we go, right? But there's no shortcuts. I'm sitting here. I don't have this massive social media following. I'm on the grind. I got 7 kids. I got a smoking hot wife. I got the basics covered, right? But there's been no shortcuts. There's no one laying any red carpets for me. We're in the grind. And that's why you, myself, and people who can embrace that mentality, they'll find more contentment along the way, because they got it the right way. That's pretty powerful. So here's the little give back, right? So, I think your career embodies what that whole human experience is really about. And you've arrived, let's just say you've arrived, and there's more to come for joeharo, right? So we ain't setting no limitations. We ain't setting no limitations, bro. But, so I just want to acknowledge how dynamic you are as a human, as a father, right? As a husband, all these different areas. But now it's time for a little give back. So tell me where you were when you saw the helmet catch, and what your thoughts, or if there's any stories. So that's the little give back for the day.
Yeah, man. I knew you were on the Giants. I was, like I said, I was always watching you. I knew you. We kind of went our separate ways. But I was at this little bar. I set up a thing here in Vegas. It was a tiny little bar with some of my friends. I knew the Giants were playing. Funny enough, Dave, I was in the Meadowlands for the game that Randy Moss beat you guys, or you guys beat them, excuse me.
No,
they beat you,
They
right?
beat us. That was
They
a
beat
heck of a
you,
game.
And that was when they were undefeated, right?
No doubt.
I went back home. Shout out to Mike Weiss, one of my teammates at Clifton High, for bringing me to that game, and my best friend Pablo Castro, who also attended.
Big shout out, Pablo.
I sat in those stands and watched that game, and I said, man, the Patriots are the real deal. So we set up the game. I had family in town. My parents were out here, and we watched the Giants. And, everybody's rooting for the Giants from back there. Even though I didn't grow up there originally, I'm still pulling for you guys.
Yeah. And, we know you got the Bears in your heart.
Listen, a lot of people forget that you had a touchdown in that game. And I remember, right, as a historian of the game, I remember that was a big moment in the game. But number 2 was the helmet catch. So when that happened, man, it was like we were playing again. Oh, man, running around. And, a guy I competed against, a guy I knew, made the biggest play probably in the history of Super Bowls in the NFL. So
listen, man,
unbelievable.
I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. That's really what it's all about. It's just about connecting these moments. Man, you're like I said, I'm sure there's more to come, but I can't thank you enough for just being that bridge, and spending your time and giving these jewels and wisdom and nugget to every listener. So, Joe, appreciate you for coming on Catch the Moment. We're going to continue to get great done. Let's continue to build.
Love it, man. Thanks for having me, and come back to Vegas soon.
Oh, man, we here. Hey, listen, every guest, I need y'all to check this podcast out. I need you to like. I need you to subscribe. I need you to comment. I need you to be ferocious about sharing these gems, these nuggets, every piece of what Catch the Moment is bringing you. We'll be back soon. Go check in.